Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 274 of the Noclip podcast. Here we all are, folks. 4 of us here, 4 lads. It's a real sausage fest this week. We're going to be fixing that soon with some no caps in the next couple of weeks. She's going to be tagging in for one of us, so look forward to that. We'll have even more insight from her. If you haven't already been enjoying it over on Noclip 2, today we're going to talk about a nice little mix of games. Feels like I was trying to think what was coming out. Super Meat Boy 3D comes out today. Yeah, what do we think of that? How do we feel about that? How do we feel about Super Meat Boy 3D?
I reject it as a premise, having never played it. On a spiritual and philosophical level.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Today. Sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say, I feel like it's antithetical to what makes Super. It's weird that it's like without Edmund McMillan and whatever. But games get made without people who were involved in them. That happens all the time, even if it feels weird. But I feel like
Zero Parades for Dead Spies.
Zero
launch trailer went up today as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, obviously there are, half dozen people who did work on the original Disco Elysium, still working on that. But yeah, it's coming out soon. It's coming out May.
Wow.
Zero Parades is, which for some reason I thought it was further away. I guess with a demo, which you should assume it's sooner, but.
Yeah, and it felt pretty finished, all things considered. It's nice of them to line up the release date trailer with the last episode of the documentary going live.
I wouldn't have done that. Like, not that it matters. I'm sure.
Collusion.
I'm sure people will, but, I've been trying to get that thing out. I mean, it's already a few days late, and I wanted to get it up on Friday, but we had some other stuff get knocked around. The Legend of California video on Noclip 2 was supposed to go up on Thursday, but then we had a bunch of early assets from the studio, and I needed Jeff Kaplan from the Overwatch team to give it a look. And of course, Thursday is the day the alpha started, so it was like no chance he was going to have time for it. So it just knocked everything down. So yeah, I do feel a little bit like, probably shouldn't have gotten that out. But I'm sure the audience for that game, I'm sure will be bigger. We'll see the trailer, then we'll watch our, rinky dink final episode of that one. Sorry, Jeremy, I cut you off about your deep thought about Super Meat Boy 3D.
No, I just feel like 3D platformers it would have to be the tightest 3D platformer in history of 3D platformers, because I feel like Super Meat Boy was so about like micro level precision in these little things, and 3D platformers to me are often more sprawling, and I don't know. I mean, there's some tight ones, but it's kind of a different genre. Just because they're both called platformers doesn't mean you can automatically make the transition. Yeah,
platforming's I've been playing a lot of Ultimate Drummer recently. That's a 3D platformer. So the genre is alive and well. But yeah, it's a weird one. The reviews that I saw on the Reddit reviews thread seemed pretty positive, but yeah, it's there's some games. I mean, Zero Parades falls into this regardless of the backstory and whatnot. There's some games that are just like hard to follow up on. You know what I mean? Like that's a tricky, especially when you keep the name. That's a tricky one. Like Meat Boy has this sort of, it's like an icon, It's like Sonic 3D,
Yeah, that didn't work out.
It didn't work out. That's true.
So the jump to 3D, it's cursed. You know?
Hey man, there's always Grand Theft Auto, and I have a soft spot for Worms 3D. That's a
But is Worms 3D like you turn the camera around? This is a Worms 3D podcast now. Yeah, is it just flat?
It was.
No, it's you turn the camera around. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I love Worms, and I've played a bunch of the 2D titles. I've never played Worms 3D.
Frank, have you played that? I bet you've played that. That seems like it's in your wheelhouse.
Worms 3D? I think I played one round of it on Xbox 360. I feel like it was like a Games with Gold thing, but I have barely any memory. But I did want to defend Sonic Adventure. You guys just said Sonic 3D is not good. Sonic Adventure is good. I know there was like...
oh, yeah?
Was it Sonic R? There is like a weird...
3D blast?
Yeah, there's a weird in-between period, but they got it right eventually.
Yeah, Sonic Adventure's fine, but like early 3D Sonic was, not for me.
Do not besmirch the name of Sonic R, please. It's got some great music in it. Sonic Racing, Sonic R.
Oh, that's what the R stands for.
Yeah. What did you think it sounded for? Racism?
Whoa, come on now.
Jesse going there again. Unbelievable.
Classic.
I feel like every time I mention Worms 3D on this podcast, I have to make a reference to Hogs of War. which some of you might have. Frank's smiling. Do you remember Hogs of War, Frank?
I feel like I feel like we've had this like conversation like 5 times where you mention it and I look at the screenshots and then I smile. So I've never played it, but it looks awesome.
Episode 274, baby. All the hits are coming back. This is the end game of all, podcasts with gamer boys, is that we just aging gamer boys, is that we just keep going back to the hits.
Yeah, the audience is like, Hogs of War, yay, they said it again.
There's 88 different retro achievements for it, so
it's good stuff.
Yeah, I'd love to play it.
On that note, have you guys ever heard of Heroes of Might and Magic 3? It's quite a...
Is that a video game or...
Let me tell you, how much time do we have?
5 minutes.
That video has done quite a lot of views on Noclip too. That video.
Great video.
I thought you said that hog video, and I was like, oh, he's not talking about Heroes of Might.
Hom. We all call it Hom, right?
I think it's a hog video. It's done weirdly well. Eastern Europe really came out for that one. It was like a sleeper hit. It had like normal numbers, and then Eastern Europe was like, oh no, some American has discovered our favorite game.
I think it takes a few months for Eastern Europe to get the YouTube videos,
to get shipped over there.
Yeah, it's like a logistics problem or whatever.
Yeah,
Hogs of War may be coming to America soon. Who knows? Maybe it'll cross the sea. You should like it. It's about war. It's about World War II. I think it's World War II. Could be World War One. Now that I think about it, I'm not sure. It's got a lot of like old ass. It's Rick Mail from The Young Ones doing voices in it. That's a reference no one outside of the British Isles is going to know. Yeah, it's great. It's a good time. Also, I'm on the Wikipedia page right now, and apparently the lead artist is called Ricky Martin. That's
okay.
That's an unfortunate one, especially if you're an adult. If you're an adult and then Ricky Martin turns up, you'll always be the other Ricky Martin.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if you were there first. Being displaced as the original Ricky Martin is the true
I imagine somebody being
event.
pissed watching the Super Bowl, like, dude, I thought it was going to be the artist from Hogs of War. Oh my God.
With their Hogs of War t-shirt on with the helmet.
Yeah. Wait, which one of you wanted to know about the plot of Hogs of War? Okay. A pig-shaped collection of islands located in the South Pacific Ocean known as Australia.
That doesn't even make any sense.
Have been found to be rich source of swill, depicted like oil being harvested, that is described as the lifeblood of pigs. So this is sort of and whoever controls the swill controls the world. Wow, it's like a Dune reference here. Thus leading to all nations engaging in all-out war to conquer the region. The chosen nations squadron battles through each of Australia's 5 main regions. Do you want to know the 5 main regions of Australia?
I feel like you're going to tell us anyway.
Hogshead, Australia. I guess that's
again.
Oh wait, was the original one was Australasia. Oh, like Australasia, Australasia. Sorry, Hogshead, Australia, Trottsville, Belliopolis, and Arstria, which I think is like an arse joke.
Hey, I went to Arstria and everybody there knew you.
Arstria, yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
You're famous there.
Yeah,
that one
everyone's talking about
guy.
Daniel Dwyer.
Arstria.
At Arstria.
It's the county in Ireland I'm from. Yeah. Anyway, there you go. Set your clocks, folks. See how many podcasts it takes for Hogs of War to come up. I know many of you with your bingo cards are still waiting for the latest Soccer Kid reference, but you will have to wait.
They are working on a Hogs of War remaster. There's an active...
Excuse me?
Yeah, they just launched their TikTok last week. So like
last week,
that's
Jesus.
They're updating their Twitter regularly. So
there's electricity in the air. You like sense.
So we can cover it in the future. There's a community Discord, official community website, hogsofwar.org. There's a YouTube.
All right, Frank. Japanese cars, move over. We got some fucking hogs to cover. All right.
They literally posted a video last month called "How is development progressing for Hogs of War Large Core?" And so it's they're legitimately working on a remaster. I can drop the link in the staff chat. But
oh my god, yeah.
I mean, Danny, dude, but this is it. This is the dream.
Make it happen.
We can make it happen. Let's
do you think there is any other publication? We're not the biggest publication in the world of video games, but we might be the biggest when it comes to talking about Hogs of War. So
yeah,
this is a soft flop. I feel like we should get in on that. They also have a Hogs of War league that they're running. It's in its 6th season, and And you can just download ISOs, it looks like, from this website here. I don't know. I don't want to blow up their spot, but yeah, there you go. Hogs of War. Oh my God, there's merch. Esports merch for Hogs of War. The pro jersey for Howl Esports.
Howl Esports?
Yeah, you should get one of these, man. Get in there. Howl Esports. Have I run dry on the Hogs? Okay,
No, you got more. Keep going.
No,
That's a Wikipedia page.
I think there's one more missing piece of this puzzle, and I think it's that the YouTube video, Danny devotes himself to becoming a esports Hogs of War player.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, should I be... Danny devotes sounded like Danny DeVito in a way there.
Yeah.
We could Photoshop you to be 3 feet tall. We could do that.
Okay, Danny DeVoto.
We have the technology.
I can
Danny
do like,
DeVoto.
I could do like rock the vote ads, for the Democratic Party.
Danny DeVoto is like your alias. That's like your drag name.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd have a better drag name than Danny DeVoto. What would it be?
That's the first draft.
It's pretty good. But Danny
Danny O'Love. I feel like that's pretty.
It would have to be like a Ireland pun, obviously.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. True.
Danny darling. Danny
there you go.
Danny O'Dear, maybe?
Danny O'Dear, I like.
Oh dear. Danny O'Dear. And I have like a sort of a British affect, maybe.
Yeah.
Danny
imagine RuPaul
O'Dear.
saying it. Would it sound funny? That's the important
I don't want to say it in RuPaul's accent. That's crossing a line, I feel
All
like.
right.
Do that. Welcome to Noclip Podcast, everyone. We got a bunch of games to talk about this week that unfortunately do not involve Australia. We're going to talk about the last Epoch Season 4 and Grim Dawn. Looks like Jesse had a little bit of a Diablo-like week this week. Jeremy has played more of WoW Midnight. In fact, all of the campaign. So we had his thoughts last week on sort of the general feeling of playing WoW Midnight after being a sort of vanilla expat. So I'm interested in that. I have a little bit more in Legend California Alpha. I played another 20-something hours over the weekend in that Alpha. I cannot stop playing that game. Alpha's gone now, and I'm very sad about it. The Alpha Discord is very funny. It's just people posting memes of being bored and sad and stuff. And Frank played and finished Biohazard Requiem and some other stuff, so we'll jump into that. We've also got some emails to talk about as well. And updates on everything Noclip, bunch of stuff hitting both channels, which will fill you all in on as well. But first of all, massive thanks to all of our patrons over at patreon.com/Noclip and patreon.com/Noclip2, who are helping us try and make a difference out there in the world of games coverage, game preservation, and videos to watch on the toilet. Massive shout out to all of our Battle Pass holders though. Brian Baru, Little Toast, Yacht, Dwayne the Rock Lobster, Anthony Thomas, Nico Passeteri, It's a Me Ferrario, Senator Armstrong, Redredge, Harry Flanagan, Juice, Arno, Matt Pearson, Mark Rojas, Quote, Tugger Morgan, David McGarry, Goddison, Sven Huster, Pez, Bone Mold, John Akers, Ewan Nate, Tim Robinson, Forrest Pruitt, Dark Insanities, Jonathan Kremen, Eric Hamilton Schneider, Christopher Tui, Grizzly Mug, Cameron Laird, Zachary Snader, Alex Goucher, George Sakotis, Jacob Godserve, Anthea Jen, James Med, and Ryson. It's a bit too early to talk about Ricicles again, isn't it?
Yeah, you gotta
trying to get all the hits in this week.
There's a buffer. You gotta wait at least 10 days.
Yeah, you gotta do that. Thank you all so much for your incredible support. Let's talk about some video games. Okay, first up, how about Jeremy Jane? Let's do it. WoW Midnight. It's the latest expansion. Here's a question for you. If you get this right, I'll give you a little internet smooch here, okay?
Okay.
Little internet smooch, okay?
Real incentive on the line.
Which number expansion pack do you think this is?
Oh, that's a great question. So I dropped off during Wrath of the Lich King. So it was Vanilla, TBC Wrath, and then the Pandaria, which is like really when they fucking fell off. And then was it Warlords of Draenor?
Ooh.
And then Cataclysm Dragonflight Midnight. Is this 8? Am I missing? I feel like I'm missing 1.
Was Cataclysm an event or a thing? So there's Warlords of Draenor, Legion.
Legion.
then Battle for Azeroth,
Oh.
then Shadowlands.
Oh, I missed a few.
Then Dragonflight. So I thought Cataclysm was one as well, but apparently it's not. Is that true?
No, Cataclysm was one. Yeah.
So why is it not on this Wikipedia page? Come on, Wikipedia, you had one job. That's ridiculous.
Update it. You there right now?
Furious. Okay. Wrath of the Lich King, Cataclysm.
I edited Wikipedia the other day for the first time. Terrence McKenna's Wikipedia had someone advertising their YouTube channel on it, and I was like, that's fucking egregious. And I had to edit it out.
Not cool. Yeah. Wrath of the Lich. Wait, was Cataclysm after Wrath of the Lich King? It was.
Yes,
okay,
definitely.
That's what I got wrong. Sorry. Then you're right. Then Pandas, Draenor, Legion, Battle for Azeroth, Shadowlands, Dragonflight War. I haven't touched anything since Cataclysm, maybe. Wait, yeah. God, I can't believe that was before Pandas.
Yeah, me
That's
neither.
wild.
I thought Pandaria was right after Wrath, but
Yeah, so did
not.
I. I was working in stores selling copies of Wrath of the Lich King in Cork. It was fun. We did a midnight launch. All right, so you played what? You were like vanilla to this?
So
Or BC?
I played a little bit of Wrath of the Lich King. I don't think I finished the campaign or whatever they called it back in the day. Back in the day, we just called it playing the game. But I think I just like TBC I had fun with, but then it was kind of losing steam, and then I think I just like went to college and didn't play video games for like a year. But yeah, so I have played a lot back in the day, obviously, like we talked about last week, and came back to retail just to kind of try it out on the free trial recently because my friends were begging me to play Midnight with them, and I also just like morbid curiosity. I just want to see what it felt like to fire it up, take the old jalopy around the block again. And I've had mixed feelings. I won't rehash my feelings from last week, but in short, if you missed it, it's weird to play a game that has changed so much, but has all of the same sort of like visuals and spell bar, and like mechanically is very similar, but the talent trees are different, the spells are different, the classes are different, the structure is different. It has a weird tutorial island now, etc. So a friend of mine bought Midnight for me very kindly, I think like the day before we did the last podcast, but I had not touched it at all. And I spent about 14 hours playing the entire campaign this week. And I did not really like it.
Fair enough. So where does it take place? Is it just in Azeroth regular? Is it on its own weird little island place, or? It's
like this. It takes place in like a little pocket of the north end of. That sounded like I was going to say the north end of Boston, because that's the name of Boston. It's yeah. It ranges from Southie to the north end. There's a Dorchester chapter. You got to go down there and do some quests.
The kobolds in Southie are a nightmare.
Yeah, you won't take their candle. I'll tell you that much. It's like the northern end of the Eastern Kingdoms. I think it's Silver Moon is the city. I don't know. Here's the thing is I could tell you anecdotes about places from playing World of Warcraft from 2004 that are still seared into my mind. Tangible, textural, visceral, like sense memories of being in these places, of getting to Lakeshire and cresting the hill and seeing the little town down there and all that shit. I feel like there was no texture in this at all. I would just do an arbitrary task, which, to be fair, most World of Warcraft quests are arbitrary tasks. Like I'm not going to say that there was like an incredible amount of complexity, because I've also played a bunch of Classic this week for contrast, and I'll get into that. But you kind of just like you just fly everywhere. I feel like a huge part of the problem is just flying mounts.
Yeah.
It does not like. I played about 5 hours of Classic as well this week, because after playing Midnight, I was kind of like, do I just hate World of Warcraft now? Like, did I ever like this game, or was I just a fool of a 15-year-old? And Classic is it's still just as good. Like, it's still equally as good. And I think a big part of that is that everything in Classic feels so slow and frictional and drawn out that it really forces you to sit with these places and with these things. The quest text doesn't all appear at once and you just skip it automatically. Like, you have to get a mod for that, if I recall correctly. It slowly unfolds. And so I didn't do this as a kid, but I was like reading the quest text. And it's just like, it's like folksy, and it's very simple. Everything in World of Warcraft Classic is very simple and like grounded. It's like, oh, this mug is hot, but only for 5 minutes. And like my buddy up at Anvilmar needs it before it's cold. And you're like, all right, those are stakes that I can comprehend. The drink is hot. I got to get it to the place. But then you undergo the formality of actually having to fucking walk there in the world and like experience a place and see creatures and like dodge aggro ranges and see the different types of trees pop in when you enter a new biome. And I just throughout midnight, it was just 14 hours of I would land my mount, I would run. They tell you on the minimap where everything is. So it's not even like I'd play classic and it would be like, oh, you have to get my supplies. It's down at one of the camps to the southeast. And it's like you would go to the southeast and you would look around and it forced you to immerse.
Do you remember looking for the right shop in a city? You know what I mean? You're like, totally. Where's that? Where do I buy linen again? Well, obviously auction house, but where do I get, where's the class trainer for this or the job trainer for this or
And it feels significant when those little things happen because of the friction involved in them. So like finding the first rogue trainer in a Coldridge or whatever it's called, the first little dwarf area, when you go up to Anvilmar and you see the guy and you're like, holy shit, like now I have new abilities. I've expanded my very simple repertoire slightly and it feels revelatory because it's so restrained. Same with like getting the first dagger upgrade as a rogue, and I got like a 0.4 DPS upgrade, and it was like, holy fuck, like this is a new world for me, because they hold you back from that progress for so long that when it finally happens, just getting the fucking slightly sharper butter knife, you're like, oh my god, it's a new game for me. Whereas Midnight was like, when I logged on to Midnight for the first time since I hit 90, like last night or the night before I logged on, and my backpacks were just full of just purples and blues that I don't even remember getting. And I don't know what they.
Did you level up? Did you auto level up, or what did you?
My friend who purchased, I think all versions of Midnight come with one level 80 boost.
Yeah,
so,
that makes sense.
It is the road from 1 to 80 is much shorter than it would be in whenever 80 Wrath or whenever 80 was the level cap. Like it used to take whatever, like 150 to 300 hours to hit 60 in vanilla. Right. Yeah. I think now it's probably about like 20 hours or something to level cap.
That's wild, man.
But yeah, no.
So do you just skip most of the quests then?
You mean like before, like the Midnight quests or pre-Midnight?
No, like if I started a new character in WoW retail now, and it took me that long, do you just end up skipping a bunch of quests?
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean? You just get to the next area faster?
Yeah, you must. I don't know. I just kind of I played the tutorial island before I signed on to play Midnight, and it sucks so bad. It's like, okay, if you're listening to me and you haven't played World of Warcraft in a long fucking time, just download all 140 gigs of this weird decayed version of the game you remember and do the tutorial island, and you will get a sense of the entirety of Midnight. I asked one of my friends who wants me to play with them. I was like, okay, so I hated the tutorial island. Is that if I play Midnight, is it going to be just that for 14 hours? And he was like, oh, like yes and no. The answer is yes. The answer is 100% yes. It is like, it's the tutorial island is the encapsulation of this new sort of game design ethos that this game has, which is like they're trying to make things feel grandiose, but it falls flat for me because the fun of WoW back in the day was sort of like the humbleness of it. It was like the kind of nothing specialness that Kenshi has, where it's like you're not always the hero of Azeroth. You're just like the guy who delivers the fucking candles or whatever. And you do kind of ascend, but it's over the course of such a long period of time.
But even so, like I feel like most of the main characters you are supporting them. You know what I mean? Like you're never the focus of the world or anything. And also you never have there's never really I guess there is in some of the expansions and probably a lot more of the latter ones that I've not done, but it's not like you enter World of Warcraft at the start or even in I guess in BC to a certain extent, but it felt different, that there's this mission to go on, you know what I mean? But it wasn't like you weren't playing WoW because you were trying to, defeat the big bad. It was like, no, I want to get a mount. That's why I'm playing, because I want to get to level 40 or whatever.
Yeah, it was very self-directed. It feels like a lot of the new quest design and story design is much more sort of on rails, and it makes the whole thing feel more like a theme park ride and less like a sort of open-ended sandbox RPG experience. Whereas in Classic, I would get a bunch of quests that sort of give you excuses to explore the area. And then as you're sort of exploring the area for its own reasons, because it's interesting to see a new place and fill out your map and get experience from that and all these things, you're like, oh, there's, a kobold over there. I need to kill 8 of those and take their candles or whatever. It felt like Midnight was like, okay, I have to go get the 8 things. Here's where all 8 of them are on my map, demarcated very specifically. Let me fly there and not look at anything, and then land there and kill 8 of them, and then fly away in a fucking one of those vertical takeoff planes the army has. And yeah, I don't know. It just felt like I think I died twice, and one of them was because I got a phone call. And I just didn't care. Like, it doesn't matter if you die. So I just stepped away, maybe mid combat.
A frictionless experience. It sounds.
Yeah, like. I don't know. And it's trying very hard to do like story related things. And I won't fault it for doing that, because I think that some Blizzard games that I've really loved have done story heavy things. Like Diablo 2 is a very story heavy game, and it's one of my favorites. But I just feel like it didn't really have the chops to do it, and it felt like sort of disjointed, where if you want me to have this open-ended experience where I'm exploring the world, and that's what World of Warcraft is about for me. It's in the name. It's a world, you know what I mean? It's not like standing in line at Disney World of Warcraft. It's hard for me to go from that to these like, okay, now you're in the quest and like run down the hallway, and then Jaina Proudmoore is there. Then you can only go like this one way, and then hop on the like gyrocopter and do the little, I don't know. I just felt like I was on a theme park ride the whole time.
Oh, weird. Okay.
And I gather that people really do like it. So I think that maybe it's just for a different audience now. It's catering to a different type of audience. But it felt to me more like a single player game with the sort of like genre conventions of an MMORPG. And I feel like that's where a lot of MMOs are at now. We talked about Final Fantasy 14 a little bit last week. And I think that's a little less egregious than some of these things. It feels, Jesse was saying, especially once you get past the initial, however many hours, it becomes more party oriented.
A little bit, yeah.
But there were a lot of moments in 14, like I said last week, where Chelsea was helping me, like accompanying me. And then I'd be like, oh, excuse me, I have to go like do an instanced boss fight that I can't do with you. And then I went back and played Classic for 5 hours, and I like made friends because there was like, I was like, this is too hard for me. And even in a low population Classic server, because it's not that popular right now, there's just like one wizard in the tavern at Keranos. And I was like, you want to go like do this thing? And he's like, yeah, sure. I haven't played this game in like 10 years. This is awesome.
Cool.
And literally in midnight, the entire fucking campaign, not one single person said hello back to me.
Wow.
Not one person. It was like, it was like moving from the Bay back to Boston. No, I'm just kidding. It was like riding the T and be like, what's up, dude? Like, you're not
the
from
rent's
here,
cheaper, Jesus.
Yeah, not really, but
oh yeah, good point.
Is it Boston like the most expensive place to live in America or something like that?
It's up there.
It's pretty high up there.
But anyway, yeah, I will be curious. I haven't done any of the end game stuff except for like a couple dungeons that I queued into, which I also don't like the party finder, and I just have not had any. I don't think I've had a minute of fun in all 16 hours of playing this.
Damn.
Man, that's a bummer. Yeah, it's we talked about it last week about the sort of life cycles of MMOs, and they I guess have to design the game. Well, they don't have to, but like they're probably designing the game for the captive audience that they have on that sort of vertical of World of Warcraft. I think it's telling that they have WoW Classic. I think the fact that they have a separate vertical for this franchise is very indicative of probably the design corner that they're stuck in with the other one. Maybe I don't know, but it's cool at least that you can do that, and I guess it's sort of a reaction to some of the private Classic servers that people were doing before Blizzard sort of took it on, did their own commercial version of it. But yeah, it's really interesting. I don't want to do too much like pre-release propaganda for The Legend of California. You can check out the video that's on Noclip 2. We interviewed Jeff Kaplan and a bunch of folks at Kunsugiyama. There we go, Kunsugiyama, about that game's design and development and what they want to get in when the game eventually hits early access over on Noclip 2. I talked last week about it a good bit as well, so I'm not going to get too much into it. But I did the alpha, so I had, the vast majority. Actually, by the time I talked last week, I had basically hardly ever played with any other people, right? Like I had been on my own server. A couple of the devs came in to help with some logistical issues on some and bugs and stuff during different moments. But I did play the alpha over the weekend. I probably played another 25 hours. I could not put this thing down. The alpha was very interesting. The server I was on, Wolf, was having trouble. So we had a lot of like you know, somebody would go in a city and do something and the whole server like frame rate would just immediately tank. It felt like the stories I heard about like GameSpot people in the WoW alphas, you know what I mean? Where they like played the game before it came out. We're like, whoa, this is crazy. But yeah, it was interesting to watch the California land grab happen in real time where like you're like, beautiful Yosemite, and like, suddenly there's a bunch of ranches in it, you know, camps all around the outposts and stuff like that. But the community feel of it was absolutely pristine. Like people in general chat, like Baron's chat, helping each other out, like, God, I can't find this recipe, or like, can somebody give me like 100 steel? I need to do this, and like, I'll find you here. And then like I was, you know, people were like looking for legendary trees, and other people would jump in. You know, here it is. Every time somebody got to like level 2 or level 3 or level 4 with their outposts, there was just gratzes the whole way through. Nice. Like it, like, and man, the reason I think I want to bring it up is that one of the things that people were talking about, because they were just chatting about, people were just chatting about the game as well. It was a real mix of folks in there. I think it was probably, you know, folks my age who played a lot of these games, played WoW in the past, played, you know, there's probably a bunch of Rust people, style people in there, younger people, a decent mix of folks. You can kind of see the different ways they were coming from it. But one of the conversations that happened in the chat at one stage was people talking about the travel system and being like, wow, this game has shown me how much flying mounts broke World of Warcraft. That like, that was the thing that gamers, I remember back in the day, that's all everyone was asking for, was like, let us do flying mounts. And I think it was Cataclysm, was it? Or
I think it was earlier than that, because I feel like I remember them.
But they had to do so much work because they had to basically build like entire sections of the map that never needed to exist before because you couldn't see them.
If you go on noclip.website, and no affiliation to this Noclip, you can look at the vanilla WoW map, and it is very funny. Wow. As someone who's building a game using like a texture tool, it's very funny to see that they'll have like these big blossomed up hills, and then between zones it'll just be like a hard cut from like rock to snow with nothing up there. It's just like a flat repeating texture.
That's amazing. Yeah, the places you weren't supposed to ever see, the like even the flight paths never went over them, you know.
I was thinking about that actually, because the flight paths, once you realize that the flight paths are not like, because you're like, oh well, how do you decide where the griffin goes? Is it just like what is cool looking? And it literally is just like, how can we hide the seams of this world while traveling between
that's
these places?
Funny. Like these are places you can go. Like,
yeah,
so
exactly, because there are probably more direct, like as the crow fly, routes between some of these places. But having it be like, oh, you gotta catch a connecting flight and wherever the fuck is like, it's so you don't fly over the seams of the world.
That's so good. I wonder if it's also why, like, because there's certain times where the griffin gets pretty low, you know, where you're like going over the forests and stuff. I wonder if that's
a good point. Yeah, some of the trees look fucking weird when you go on noclip.website and go above. Like if you go to Booty Bay, the trees all look like weird, like pointed hexagons because they're not supposed to be viewed from that angle.
Right. Yeah. There was a flight path. There must have been a flight path in Booty Bay you could take from like Duskwood or somewhere, or
yeah, probably.
Yeah. Or
flying mounts were added in TBC, it looks like.
What is?
Flying mounts were added in Burning Crusade, it looks like.
Oh, they were? Okay. Oh, wow. Really? Got that soon? That early? That's crazy.
I agree with you 100%, by the way. I think the flying mounts it would have been fine if the game, if it was level cap and the game wasn't going to expand beyond there, because presumably by the time you play 300 hours of this game, you've seen enough of the world that now it's like you get to fucking no clip around the map. It ruins all sense of place. Even on, you know, like a regular mount on the ground, you're still traveling from place to place. It's just at a faster rate, but you're still kind of taking it in. But the flying mount, I don't know. I couldn't draw you a map of the area that WoW Midnight takes place in.
It's funny. Final Fantasy XIV does something similar in that the flying mounts, I have heard complaints about it from players. I didn't play it too early on. You know, I jumped in with the free trial a couple years ago. And every zone that you get to, you can just like ride your chocobo normally, and then eventually you unlock the ability to fly. But you have to finish like leave quests or something to unlock the flying ability in a new area. So you do still have to move around it normally, and then eventually you can fly around. Not too late into the expansion or anything, but it does sort of alleviate that problem of like not seeing what the world actually looks like before you're just zooming over all of it and it's just passing you by. Well, I don't know if it's a perfect solution, but it certainly helped with that problem that I had of like early on. It felt like every area in Final Fantasy 14 was just a blur once you get the flying ability. But in the new expansions, because it does that, it was like, oh, now I know where this building is. I can sort of map it out in my head, and it felt more like a place as opposed to just like a a park that I'm zooming around to do quests in.
Yeah, it's funny how sort of both of those aspects come into play with my time doing the alpha and Legend California as well, where the in development version that I played that was from fall of last year, I don't think it had any cooldown on the ability to travel to your tent or your ranch. So you could just sort of zip between the two of them ad hoc and then sort of go somewhere else and then use, because there's strategy to travel. It's the same in World of Warcraft. You're like, oh, I kind of need to go here. And that's like halfway to the next fast travel point. So if I just like go there and then keep going, I can fly back. You start to like do your routes and plan your adventures in a way that feels like, because it feels like important because like you can run into mobs. Like when you're flying around, you don't run into mobs, right? Unless I guess there's flying mobs in certain sections, but like, there's no hazard there. You're not going to run into a quest floating in the sky. You're not going to run into another player character and have a conversation with them. So it's such a like even in games like, Fallout and Oblivion, like the, 3D Fallouts in Oblivion, like that space in between is where possibility is, it's where like things can happen. Often they do, often they don't, but they can.
Yeah. Whereas, it's the potential. They're like pregnant with potential, even if they are empty sometimes. Yeah. 100%. I think that's what's missing is not just the potential, but like, I think that friction is what makes memories. And I think like memorable things happen because you were sort of like, they hold your feet to the fire. You have to experience this thing. Playing Classic, there were moments where I was like, oh my God, I cannot fucking believe I have to corpse run that far back. But then you get over the initial shock and you're like, oh, you know what? Like, who fucking cares? I'll run as a ghost through this area I haven't gone to because like, I don't know what it's like there and I can scout it out and see what it looks like. And I think that is, there is a weird thing that happens as like a genre or like a piece of media or like a medium gets more popular, where like I was never a comic books guy, but I see people who were into comics back in the day be like, oh, it's like such a different culture now that it's popular. And I think it's very easy to write that off as like, that's gatekeepy. It's like hipstery, it's whatever. But I legitimately do feel that way about World of Warcraft. And I think part of it is just that the types of frictional experiences that made it memorable are the exact types of things that if you were trying to bring new people in, you would either have to remove those obstacles or convince people that they were worthwhile. And I think it is easier to make something less frictional than it is to convince a wide swath of people that the frictional things are not only justified, but like where the magic is derived from in those experiences.
Yeah, exactly. I think that by its very nature, that type of friction is pushed up against. And I think like, because I do remember like the thing that everyone was asking for was flying mounts. And it's like, be careful what you wish for, I guess, is sort of the, the lesson perhaps in some of these situations. But then also when a game's been out for 20 something years, how can you avoid it? You know what I mean? If they still didn't have flying mounts in World of Warcraft 2 years later. Yeah. So like they're kind of, it's a really sticky, tricky design spot to be in. And I think one of the cool things I've enjoyed about The Legend of California is that because it's like a new franchise or whatever it is, like it's just doing a lot of really simple things, and that's enough for me. I had loads of those moments. Like I was playing, there was there's a lot of like, oh, I need to run into like a level 3 area to find a vendor because I need to find the recipe for biscuits so I can make 5 meals on my stove and level up that part of the challenge menu. It's like a lot of this shit. And I was running through and two wolves saw me, and I was still on my donkey, I think then. I didn't have my horse where I could pretty much outrun almost anything. I was like shitting it. And I was in the PvP area as well. And I saw somebody else. They went past me. And it was the first time I had seen someone else in a PvP zone. And I'm like, oh shit, I wonder if they're going to get me. So I was like, okay, I'll go this way then, away from them, and the wolf will be slightly closer or whatever. The wolf, I think what happened was the wolf hit me. I fell off my horse. And as I got up, the other player like trampled me with their horse, and I was like, no. I was like, and I went into general chat immediately, because we've all been like hanging out. Like, no, some people know each other's ranches are, but generally we're all just chatting in there, right, and bumping into people and stuff. And I was like, oh man, somebody ganked me in the PvP area, and they came on. Their name was McCree, so obviously an Overwatch fan. And he was like, oh yeah, sorry, I did that by accident. I was trying to help. And then you fell off your horse and I just ran over you instead. And so I was watching on my camera and he didn't come back and loot my stuff for me. So I was like, okay, I ran, did my corpse run, got my stuff. And then I jumped in chat and was like, thanks McCree for not taking my stuff. And like, it's just a simple little interaction, but I remember it, you know, it was a memorable thing that happened. And yeah, it's funny. It's funny how that stuff works. It'll be interesting to see how interesting, you know, what the different levels and layers of mechanism they can add to that game, and how it'll add to it. I really like it. I still feel a bit uncomfortable about the indigenous thing in it, the question, though. We talked about it last week. And I think we sort of skimmed it, I feel like, because we were just like, we haven't seen much of the game, so it's hard to comment on it. Yeah, there's a pragmatic argument that I understand that Jeremy sort of touched on as well, where if you're talking about a game about dominating the land, you know what I mean? The Manifest Destiny simulator, then sticking Native Americans in there is only going to probably produce one thing. But I think there's probably like an artful way that you can, like we talked about that magic realism aspect last week. Like, I wonder if you could, not to again get very tropey with how you put a native, native culture within a video game, but I would like to see, you know, them between now and whenever the game comes out, try and come up with an appropriate, nuanced, like, way to reflect in some way. I know it's not the game they're making. They're not making like a narrative game, but like the game is Tomahawks, man. You know what I mean? Like you can't.
Who made those Tomahawks? Where'd those come from?
Exactly.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah. No, it's
They weren't invented by a guy called fucking Tom. You know what I mean? They're Tommy Hawks. It's different.
Tommy Hawk. Thomas Hawk invented them.
Wasn't that the name of a character in? Was Tommy Hawk? He wasn't the one in Prey, was he?
I hope not. That's awful.
Tommy Hawk is the official mascot of the Chicago Blackhawks.
Oh, Jesus that makes Christ. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. It's
better than Chief Wahoo. Wasn't that the name of the Cleveland Indians one?
Is that their fucking?
Probably shouldn't have called them Cleveland Indians to begin with. But
yeah. Well, they've changed it now, I think. But yeah, I think that was his name.
Yeah, fuck. So. That's actually Wahoo was the former logo last used in 2018. Wow, that's recent.
That's not long enough ago.
No, it's not. Especially when you look at the logo. Like the logo is like.
No, I know. I can picture someone being like, "Listen, we got it. It was forever ago," and you check the date. It's like it was 8 years ago. Man. And we're coming up on 8 soon. It's a. I don't know how you solve the native representation thing in a game like that. You make them as like target practice or like victims of this thing, or I don't know, because to do justice to the history is to put them in a position where they're being dominated in horrible ways. So that is like the historical representation. And then the revisionist sort of like liberal nicety version of that is like, and they're invincible. It's like, what the fuck is that? That doesn't make sense either, you know?
I feel like you could just have the player characters all be from different tribes. Like, obviously there's ways that could be offensive too, but like at that point, just don't make the video game in California. But like, if you're going to do it, have the player be the one that's reclaiming the land back from the people taking over their land. Like there's ways to do that it's like, I feel it would be more acceptable.
I guess then you'd be like, oh, we're making, you know, tents, you know, or I don't know. I think one of the terms we use in Europe is frowned upon over here. So I'm just going to say Native American tents. Okay. There's like I guess then you're making a different game. But I hear but you're like, you make the sort of original sin is that you're making a game about like expansionist Western California.
Just don't call it California and don't have it set during the gold rush.
Call it
something else.
That is such the heart of the game, though. You know what I mean? Like
for sure, but like, couldn't it just be on an island with like places that are inspired by California?
No, it wouldn't be this. Like it doesn't.
I get your point that it's
you've never been here. You don't know that. You know what I mean?
I understand, but also I watched the video. I get it. Like I get the point of the thing things that he loves and that you love and that you guys all love about California being a place. But like, I think to accept that I love the beauty of California, it is such a touching place that has all these interesting things about it, and then ignore the people who made those beautiful things is a bit like a counter to the point.
That's the point I'm making. I just don't think that the solution is you just make it not California. I mean, that would fix the problem. But like, it doesn't in the same way that like pulling flying mounts out of WoW fixes one problem, but it doesn't address. It's like not the most, I hope there's a sharper solution to it.
When you start the game, there should be an unskippable cutscene where you have to watch Killers of the Flower Moon.
That's pretty good.
All 4 hours, and then you can enjoy the game. It's like
doesn't take place in California, but otherwise,
I know, but it's
yeah.
It is a very difficult problem to solve. I also feel like if you did the solution where the player characters were native, it gets into a weird sort of like cultural mirror where I feel like I may be speaking from bias as a white person raised in America. I feel like the fantasy of the game is like being like a cowboy. You know what I mean?
Right.
I feel like if you're constructing longhouses and stuff, it becomes I that sounds like a cool fucking game to me. I think a lot of people who want this like cowboy Wild West fantasy would see that as somehow like like edutainment in some way or something. They're like, oh, now I got to learn about like the Iroquois tribe, and it's like I think that would appeal to some people, but I think that it's like a cowboy game.
Yeah, it does when you see like words like Tehachapi come up though. You know what I mean? Like it's very like
what's that in reference to?
We're really picking our I had somebody on Blue Sky ask me about this last week about like kind of what Jesse's very good point, which is that like you could make a game about being in a native tribe, or
you make a reclamation game. You take it back from the people who stole it from you.
And there is a game called This Land Is My Land, which was, I think it might have been an early access Steam game. But then I remember being like feeling a little bit weird about that because I think it's made in Eastern Europe or something. Like it's
a Ukrainian game, yeah.
Yeah, so there are a lot of, well, you know what I mean? Like maybe they are in a position to talk somewhat about at least colonial overreach, but yeah, it's you know, because you're like, have you played Never Alone? Like there are some games that are like, made by people who are associated with those peoples. And then Umaragi Generations is a similar kind of situation, right? Where it's
New Zealand, right?
Yeah. Maori kind of and I think what's the game with the penguin?
Penguin Colony?
Penguin Colony, is that
their next game,
Yeah, their next game, which I think is also perhaps is commenting on some sort of stuff like that. So like there is these places exist, these games exist, but like who made them is clearly important as well. So like, do I want a bunch of SoCal, Orange County ex-Blizzard people making my Native American game?
That's a bit like, you can go to a Chinese restaurant. It's not all, it's like, oh, I don't want to eat at this Chinese restaurant if all the people who work here aren't from this specific part of China.
You got to check in the back before you order. You're like, who
made my Chinese fried rice?
You from
what province?
Exactly.
The mileage varies on this stuff so much depending on where you're from and what you think about. And, it's, Californians, even mileage varies here on how much they give a fuck at all about any of this, because tribal land in this state is fucking where is it? I know where the most local tribal land is because there's a casino there, but it's not a reservation. You know what I mean? It's just southern Santa Rosa or Roner Park or whatever. So it's tricky stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to project yourself into the position of the people most impacted by a thing if you're not part of that group. Even this is like the most low stakes version of that, but this is the closest I can come as a white person to this experience is like when you see a movie about Boston and the people doing the Boston accents are faking it, that's like the lowest stakes possible version of cultural representation being done wrong. And even that I'm like, fuck this. And it's zero stakes. It's like a fucking, a patriarchal white fucking like colonist society that rolled in here and set up shop. And I'm still like, they can't talk like us. What the fuck is going on? Hey, we drop our R's, not you.
You're not even doing it right.
Yeah, that's not a non-rhotic accent.
Yeah, it's who knows, but yeah, I think the fact that it does make all of us feel a little bit shows that there could be something done. You know what I mean? But I don't know what that is. Jeff said in the interview, make a point of encouraging people to read about native history, but like, yeah, I think, you know, if you're making a piece of art around a place, it's just, yeah, it's even if you're not intentionally doing erasure, you can't, you know, if you passively erase something, you're still erasing it.
I don't know how you passively or actively do something when you're saying we're just not going to do it. That's not passive. You're
yeah,
just
it's
saying,
like
I'm
the apolitical, like I'm not political. It's like, no, that is a political move to like abstain from the discussion because it cedes power to the person who holds power in that dynamic. Yeah. I wonder, I think it would probably not align with the time period they're depicting, but also like they're removing all native people from the area anyway. So historical accuracy clearly isn't the priority anyway. But I wonder if
maybe it is. They nailed it. They took out all the Aboriginal people. That's, you know,
finally did it. I wonder if there could have been an approach where they had some sort of like this took place later in history and there had already been sort of like erasure of indigenous people. And there could have been some reflection upon that. I just think, again, it's hard to do in like a sandboxy game like this because this isn't like a narrative game where you're I mean, I don't know, are there like quests in this with
there
quest
is
givers?
basically no, like,
yeah,
there is essentially no story in this thing. I would say the only story you get is like, do you remember when you completed a quest in WoW and you got like your gold came in a letterbox?
Yeah.
In a letter, and there was like a note that said, "Thanks for killing the kobold." You know what I mean? That's it. Like I didn't read 99% of them. I just got my fucking shit and kept going.
Yeah.
But there's no story. There's no NPCs really, except for the generated characters that run the stores, and they are, from what I understand, procedurally made up in each store and each server from a subset of faces, and like the character creator jumbles, they take a bunch of names that are jumbled, and then you get them. And there's people from like all walks of life. It could be anyone is the thing, but like, yeah, there's no narrative.
I can see why they ended up doing what they ended up doing, even if I don't love aspects of it, because it is kind of like we talk a lot about how games are this sort of spectrum between like oil painting and like a bop it. And I feel like the closer you get to the bop it, it's like if there's if you're on the playground and at the top of the slide, it's like, here, the battle of whatever happened here, and 45 men were killed, and like 23 of them were indigenous. You're like, I'm just trying to go down the slide, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it feels like it's like unsanctimonious to put it on a playground, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the thing. You can make the pragmatic argument for it, but it's still, we've all got that little bad taste in our mouth, right?
Yeah,
so
it's weird anyway you slide. The fact that we've talked about it this much and we're like, yeah, this kind of...
It is, yeah.
It's fucking, I don't know. Like, other than just being like, maybe we make not a game about California. It's like, how do you fucking fix that?
Yeah, which is Jesse's point, and, I wonder if that was, ever considered or, but I will say the game is so bereft of... Like the character of this game is clearly California. Like I'm sure for people who've never been here, that maybe that wouldn't matter. You know what I mean? Like if they don't have any understanding of the geography of the state, or, you know what I mean? You could just, mad lib the whole fucking thing. But I don't know if I would be as interested in that game. Like, to me, what's cool about this is that, like, the starting zone on the alpha server was literally Sonoma. It was like where I live. So that was like, crazy cool. Then going to such and such place or blah, 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 blah. But, yeah, it's a funny one. There's no simple answer to that one, it seems like, but I would like to see them. I'd like to see them take a swing at it. A swing with like you would, for instance, with a tomahawk. You know what I mean? Which I believe was invented by Thomas Hawk. Let's get away from the world of Warcraft and the world of California. Weirdly connected there in both designers and what we played this week. And talk to Jesse about The Last Epoch and Grim Dawn. Both of these, season 4 of The Last Epoch is new. Grim Dawn's obviously, when did that come out? That's a while back.
It's like 2010, 11, something like that. Maybe that's
is it really that old? Jesus.
I feel like it is. Let me check on Steam. It was made in Since 2016 on Steam. I don't know if that's true. It could be. I wouldn't be too surprised. But yeah. Grim Dawn and Path of Exile, or not Path of Exile, Last Epoch. Sorry, Path of Exile is a game I played a lot of. So I really like action RPGs. I've played a bunch of them throughout my time. I think I've talked about Last Epoch on here probably 2 or 3 times at this point, with the various seasons that they've done and their original launch into 1.0 or early access, whatever.
It's your Hogs of War, some might say.
Except some might say, yes, my hogs, they commit action RPG atrocities. It's quite a good time. I really like Last Epoch, but playing season 4, it's funny. I can't find it in myself to get to the end of this season. And like, I haven't had this issue up until now. Usually I get to end game, I do a little bit of it and I'm like, all right, that's fine. I'm bored of this. But this time around, I think it's the structure, the stuff that they added. Like they added a bunch of these like mid-run. Whenever you're doing the campaign, you got to go through all, if you've ever played an action RPG, you got to do the whole campaign every time you start a new character. And your goal is basically to minimize the amount of time you're spending doing the campaign to get to the end game. Here they added this new thing where it's Shattered Omen, I think it's called. It's like these random encounters that you can run into. You have to purposefully start them. And once you finish the fight, you get these really high level items. They're like corrupted items that give you these really good stat bonuses and stuff. And I was playing a little bit with my buddy. And I got this item that basically walked me all the way to the end of the game. Like it was perfect for my build. I tried a character I hadn't played before. And something came over me, and I think it's what Jeremy's been talking about for the last couple of weeks with MMO design and like the desire for friction. And I realized I'm just not having fun playing this right now. Maybe not even just right now. Was I ever really having fun with this? Because like it's this treadmill of content and grinding and items, and like there's so many drops all at once. It's very overwhelming in a way that like it sort of just feels like I'm playing the game to keep playing the game. Like that sounds
like
stupid. Like every
Skinner boxy like kind of like ticket
100%
doing the thing. Yeah.
I'm pecking the button to get my little grains of rice or whatever. I watched your video from the point video, Danny, that you did like 14 years ago.
I mean, that's still how I feel relevant about Destiny. You know what I mean? Is like, to me, I understood why people played it, I thought, but the reason why I thought they played it was because it was doing
like a fun shooter.
But it was doing all this progression stuff and dailies and, come back in. But then here I am playing Arc Raiders and it's very similar thing.
You fell for it.
New content. Exactly. Yeah.
No, but it works. Like there's parts of it. There's a reason it works. It's not just inherently, malicious. You can use it to do good things or to just make something fun, but it becomes malicious when, you apply things to it that are bad for the player. And I feel like the dark patterns, they block out all your abilities. Man, Last Epoch, I couldn't, it wasn't working for me, but I was in that action RPG mood. I really wanted to play one. And I was thinking, Jeremy has told me Diablo 2 is his favorite game of all time. He keeps telling me to play it. I'm going to play Grim Dawn, a game that I've already played. A game that I've already played 6. Here's the thing. I am on a timer, right? I'm not going to start playing a game that I actually want to play when in 2 weeks I might need to, stay up until 3 a.m. every single night.
Fair.
So I decided to jump back to Grim Dawn, a game that I have played before, but like maybe 6, 7, fuck me, I haven't done that in a while.
Perfect.
I know, I'm sorry. Years ago.
That's great.
This was developed by Crate Entertainment, a studio out of Massachusetts, I think Boston.
Oh shit, really?
Yes, and they were using the same engine as Titan Quest, another action RPG that I had played. I also developed in Massachusetts. I think northern, a little more north from Boston. But like 2 teams from a pretty like close area. It was really interesting to see that game, Grim Dawn, in comparison to what's going on with Last Epoch and how I'm feeling about action RPGs in general. Like I went to play some Path of Exile 2 not too long ago and Path of Exile 1, and they all feel very like focused and devoted to you getting a lot of drops whenever you kill an enemy, constantly replacing your equipment, and if not constantly replacing your equipment, at least like thinking ahead and like looking for uniques, trying to find stuff to get the perfect build. Going back to Grim Dawn feels like it felt like getting on the lazy river at a water park and just chilling and just like, because the game opens with all you have is your weapon and a single attack, and that's it. And like for the next 10 hours, you're doing side quests. It's like a grim, dark world. There's a reason it's called that. And you're just like killing enemies, killing zombies, doing like quests for people in a similar way to what it sounds like you guys were enjoying about World of Warcraft, a game I've never really had the chance to play. But I got so much out of it. It felt so slow paced in comparison to the other games. And it made me like think about what I like about action RPGs. Because it's not just getting the equipment. It's like, I like being in a world, and I like exploring and doing quests and like watching myself progress in a way that feels more linear and less exponential. Because these other games, it's like, okay, now you're shooting magic fireballs that break into other fireballs, and you could see in the next 10 hours from now, you're going to be picking up items from the Web Weaver Chronicles or whatever the fuck. Like, it's such a weird thing to play these new age action RPGs. You guys don't really play a lot of these, right? Like these newer.
No, I do
RPGs.
Vicariously through you, because
Right.
you're always telling us. I mean, Jeremy obviously has priors and Diablo and stuff, but
Yeah.
it is the question I actually had for you is like, yeah, does this feel like the type of game that you're enjoying because it's a reaction to those more complicated, more sort of, what's the word? It sounds like the same thing Jeremy was talking about with WoW Midnight, where like these games at a certain point become so top heavy with sort of expectation from the consumer that they end up sort of being so many things that they're kind of not, they don't have a central thesis anymore.
Yeah.
Is it a game that like, does it feel good because it's easy and simple and not particularly, not to overuse the word, but like frictiony? It's not a word.
I think
or
Grim
is
Dawn
it more that it's like from a simpler time?
Grim Dawn probably has a little bit of nostalgia to it for sure. I did play through the whole thing not too long ago, so it was a bit like going back to coming back to your old park, and everything feels bigger now because it was smaller when you were younger, that kind of thing. I think Grim Dawn has a lot of design to it that is more frictional. That like because you start without major abilities, you sort of like get used to the act of moving your character. You get used to the act of exploration. Like exploration in that game in Grim Dawn feels a lot more earned as opposed to just like, exactly where to go. Here's the pin on the map, run to the pin. This is like, you got to look for items in an area. You got to read the map. This was actually the thing that I think made me go, oh, this is why I like Grim Dawn so much in comparison to like Last Epoch and these other like Diablo 4 has a little bit of this, but more in Grim Dawn. You read these notes for quests, and I had to like open the journal, read the journal entry to see where I needed to go, find the place on the map, go to the point, and then find the character that was mentioned in the quest.
We had the exact same experience.
That's so
You were
funny.
talking about it,
That's
and I
so
was
funny.
like, that's exactly what happened to me in Grim Dawn.
That's
Grim Dawn.
fucking crazy.
Like that shit, that is what makes me like these video games. Like action RPGs, it felt like I was chasing this nostalgia high of like, oh, it was fun to pick up the items and like make a cool build. But when I went back and actually played the thing I was nostalgic for, it was that realization. And maybe it's because I'm 30 and I can like have nostalgia now. But like I got to play this game and I was like, oh shit. No, the thing I liked about this was like the worlds that they were in and overcoming challenges that I couldn't beat prior. It wasn't like everything I walk up to in these newer action RPGs, you can mop them until you get to the end game, and then end game you die in half a second if you stop looking at the screen. If you blink, you're dead. Whereas these older games, it's like the pace is so different. It's like the action RPG combat, you're doing it not to get new items, but like to see new things, to interact with these characters, to learn more about the world and the lore. And like, I'm not building out a spreadsheet. I'm sure there are people who are for Grim Dawn. I know the end game gets a little ridiculous and there's all these new expansions, but just going back to that, or even like I watched a little bit of Titan Quest after I heard about the Grim Dawn being made in the same engine. And I was like, oh my God, it's like a different universe, these games. They're not live services. They're making them for people who, have jobs and like go do other things.
So I would love to like interview somebody who works in an MMO today and ask like, is that the schism? Like, is the problem that the people who will play your game to a certain amount that you can like bank on them for a while, but ultimately they will, they don't play that much because they have jobs and they want to do whatever, it's those people. So they're obviously not as profitable for like running an MMO for years and years and years. And then over here, you've got the sickos, right? Who are just like, they're like the people who are into the day job people, let's call them, are like maybe a bit, maybe this is conflating two separate actual things, but like, bear with me for a second. Maybe they're more into like that slow pace, methodical, figure it out. The sickos, the like hardcore people are maybe more numbers orientated and more like sort of min-maxing orientated. And then ultimately, because they're playing the game so much, are more about the meta, more about like builds, more about that stuff. And then like, you open a restaurant and everyone's buying the dumplings, let's use the Chinese restaurant thing from earlier.
Yeah.
Everyone's buying the fucking dumplings. No one's buying the noodles. What are you going to make in the kitchen? Like you're stuck with the audience you have that's engaged the most. And then you start going in that direction. Like I wonder, is that the thing? Like the eventual like heat debt of any MMO is to become so fucking, numbersy and ultimately lose its sort of identity in all of that complexity. I don't know.
It seems to be the problem in general, yeah, of like when you have these games that you said are like top heavy, where you've got so much content in the late game, you have to keep appealing to the people who are already there. Like if they go away, no one's going to get there. Like certainly not in the numbers that the players already are. I think Final Fantasy XIV is going through something like that. World of Warcraft, obviously, but even Destiny, right? Like that, or Destiny 2 specifically, that game it's still impenetrable. I tried to play it and I couldn't because there's so many expansions to the point that they're cutting content, and players are like, don't cut the content. People need that stuff to know what's going on. But it's like, if they play through all that, they're never going to get to the end where you guys are. So it's this problem, I think, of like, how do you make a game? Actually, Chris Wilson and developer from Create Entertainment, Chris Wilson from Grinding Gear Games, who did Path of Exile, they had I guess it's a podcast, but like an interview conversation where they're talking about their approaches to design, and because one of them is free to play and one of them is a paid premium experience with Grim Dawn. So it's like, how do you make these games work? And it was really interesting. But I felt like when I think about Path of Exile, it's a game that's free, that runs on microtransactions. If you're a player who's already invested in those microtransactions and you're reading guides for the new content as it comes out with all these seasons, you have to have like stash tabs you got to pay for. So you have to have the inventory set up to be ready for this content. If you're a new player coming in and you want to jump to that late stuff, you kind of got to work your way up to having the resources before you can do that. It's just such a weird problem to solve of like, how do you get people into the game when the thing that's appealing about it at this point for the remaining player base is the end game stuff?
Here's a question for all you guys. Is the solution to this in some respect with these sort of like, and I'm going to get really broad with this, but like, let's call them live games, like games that are sort of around for Ace. And I mean, in this, let's say, last Epoch, World of Warcraft, Fortnite, Arc Raiders, The Legend of California, whatever, Rust. Is the solution to this these like seasons or server resets? The fact that like, okay, there is a point at which the old version is either in the seasons case with Fortnite, here we go, new map, new items. It is 90% the same game, but the progression you're going to have is going to feel similar to the one you had last time, where like you were learning the new map, you're learning the new weapons, all that sort of stuff. So it's like vanilla WoW 1 to 40. You know what I mean? Because I remember the thing I loved about vanilla WoW, when I got to a certain stage, I was like, I'm going to roll a character and do this as a fucking Tauren, or do it, you know what I mean? Do it as a night elf or whatever, like that was the fun, was going back and doing that. And what I found as well with Arc Raiders is that like, I mean, talk about simplistic fetch quests that you have to do, but like the process of doing them again, I like, it's like weirdly nostalgic. It's like now I come in with a bit more expertise maybe on how to do them or that type of thing. And similar with The Legend of California, it's like the loop of the game is good. I like that part. I like the part, and I'm sort of imagining that as the World of Warcraft, 1 to 60 or 1 to 40 or whatever, and that was the part I liked. So construct a methodology that allows me to do that again. Is that what like server resets and seasons are effectively doing?
I think that's the idea behind the server resets and seasons and stuff. I don't like that approach. Like seasons in general, I'm kind of against, because I feel like it creates it undercuts the feeling of perpetuity of these worlds, which I think is an important ingredient in the feeling of it being a world. Is if at the end of the season it's like, all right, and everyone's like wiped and we're all starting from zero. It's at that point it's like it's just a long tail extraction shooter. You know what I mean? Where it's like everything. If I'm just going to lose everything, why get everything? I like the feeling that what I accrue is sort of permanent in some sense, and I think seasonal cadence erases that. I think in my mind, the ideal solution is if you have a game like World of Warcraft and you have 1 to 60 and you have the Kalimdor and the Eastern Kingdoms, you just add do what they did with like TBC and like some of these expansions, just add like a new continent or whatever.
Or the expansion that arguably I think a lot of most, and I could be wrong, a lot of most OG WoW people came back to, which was Cataclysm.
Which they redid the entire world, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it is interesting. I'd be curious. It may be total placebo. I felt like when I went to Elwyn Forest in retail, it felt smaller, and then I fired up Classic and it felt big again. And I wonder if it is I wonder if they changed the scale of it or if it's the move speed. I was not on a flying mount, so it was not that. It could have just, I genuinely don't know what it was.
Okay, here. I heard what you said about the progress stuff, and I think especially 6 months ago, I would have said the same thing. And maybe because of recent games I've played, I feel slightly differently about it. Is that okay, so World of Warcraft, I'm with you. I still have access to my character that I had in 2004 that I started, right? Fugani, he's a little dwarf paladin. He's living on some fucking server somewhere. He still exists. I haven't touched him in a decade probably, but he's somewhere, right? If I could open that account again, he'll be there, right? But I've not fucking touched him. So is server resets or these like seasonal resets, are they the don't put flying mounts into World of Warcraft of these games? It's something that some players don't want, but is ultimately good for them.
Maybe. I feel like it's the opposite. I feel like seasons are sort of the giving into player demand that flying mounts are, where it's like the Soren Johnson quote of, if you give players the opportunity to min-max all the fun out of a game, they will. And so the job of the game designer is to protect game players from themselves, essentially. I think that that is something that I resonate incredibly strongly with. I think that there were moments when I was playing WoW Classic this week where I was like, fuck, I wish I could just like teleport to my corpse. And I think that the job of the game designer is to not listen to the sort of base impulses of the game player always and be like, okay, well, no, there's like friction happening and the guy's gonna like quit the game. It's like you need to ride that line. You need to push me up to that line of my comfort zone where I'm like, oh, this is like I'm stuck in the Trog cave getting my ass kicked over and over. But then when you emerge from those frictional experiences, that's what makes you feel something. And I think that, like, I don't know, to me, the season stuff feels like it's a cheap fix to a harder design problem. I think the perpetuity creates a sense of a world. And I think resetting everything is just like, oh, we'll just like do it again. Everyone just like does it again. And it wipes away this feeling of perpetuity that makes MMOs feel like worlds.
Yeah, it pushes MMOs closer to. Sorry, I was thinking about this too. That element pushes all these games closer to being like action RPG, like Diablo style action RPGs, more than anything else. Because the way that you play those games, avoiding the seasons, is if you play on hardcore and you die, you have to start from the beginning. You play the whole campaign over again. And like I said, it's your goal to minimize the amount of time you're spending doing the campaign shit so you can get to the thing you want to do. And I feel like all these games, like Arc Raiders, a game that I'm not playing anymore, because of that, I've run out of stuff to do, and my choice is go do it all again in a way that like doesn't excite me. I know it works for some people, but it doesn't work for me. I think that approach of like resetting things is it's a band-aid basically on a problem of like there is a limited amount of content. We have so many players going through all of it. How do you appeal to the people who beat everything this week, and how do you not alienate the people who, you know, are only able to play for like 5-6 hours a week? It's a impossible problem to solve without making two different versions of the game, which, I mean, WoW Classic exists, but I don't know necessarily if it's a perfect solution to the problem. Because now, if you want to get into the community, the main WoW community is probably playing retail. It's like there's a whole new sect of people that you can't interact with.
And I think that's where like I kind of half agree with you on that, because like, and I definitely agree with both of you that it is an imperfect solution to a problem, like a band-aid. So one of you guys said band-aid. Like like I remember, and you know, and this is obviously genre by genre, game by game, but just like because you mentioned Arc Raiders, I even remember when they were talking about what their server reset extraction is that what it's called? I think extraction thing would be expedition. Right? Thank you. Yeah, their expedition thing would be. You could even tell that like they weren't quite sure if this is the right way to do it, but like we think it might work. But like one of the benefits of it is that, especially on the PvP stuff, that it stops the top heavy player base thing as well. That's kind of that it like resets people, right? Like all of our gear goes down to 0. You don't have to do it, but like it'll pull you back down, and then you're like a level 5 scrub. And there are some bonuses that you get. You know, your fucking chicken finds stuff faster, and your XP you've got like rested XP basically for that whole
more
character.
Skill points or whatever, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I'm with you that it's funny how it's a similar problem. It's like the same problem with casual players and the hardcore, and how do we find a solution that means that we're not just constantly listening to the hardcore, that we're not making it unfair for the casual. yeah, it's weird. In Arc Raiders, and sorry, last thing,
No,
Jeremy,
go
because this was your point. In Arc Raiders, at least, and I don't know about other games, Fortnite, maybe less so. Fortnite literally changes the world. So that feels dynamic and interesting, I think. Arc Raiders, it's your character. So it kind of feels like the world continued and you have decided, because you send off your character, 1 minute cutscene and they're gone and then you start a new one. It feels like the world is permanent when I play that game, but it feels like my character has gone back. But there is this like, there is this also this, and this is the last thing I say, and this is actually a massive non sequitur, but I'm also fascinated by the crazy dissonance that exists in extraction shooters where like, yeah, sure, I'm going again and I'm starting a new character and all these quests are happening, but for some reason temporarily it feels like this is somebody who came before the person who already did these quests, like a Neo. And also just like nothing makes sense in an extraction game. Why does stuff keep reappearing?
Who's filling the lockers?
Like, it's so fun. I remember playing the game for like 10 hours and going like, wait a second, it doesn't make any sense. What the fuck's going on here? Doesn't make any, but like, when you're playing the game, you're like, oh, going back up to the surface. Same with like fucking Marathon or anything. You're like, why do I keep invading the same part of this planet over and over again? Like, how often can I keep coming down here and getting technology? But you just whatever. Don't think about it. It's fine. It's a video game.
Here's my ultimate take on the WoW thing. I think that this is the solution. Is that I think that what happened was World of Warcraft, the end game became this special rarefied thing. And it was so special and interesting and different that it was like, holy fuck, like someday I'll be 60 and then I can be a part of that. And it took you 150 to 300 hours.
You'd see these people outside like fucking auction house with like crazy glowing shields and be like, whoa.
And it would be like cool and interesting. And I think that here's the thing is I think that the mentality has shifted in Blizzard's design ethos. In Diablo 4 as well, though I have much less experience with that, where it is like it is this sort of showering of specialness, undeserved specialness upon people. And I think that is the problem, is that it decays both ends of the spectrum. If you are a casual player, it makes the specialness feel less special. And if you're a hardcore player, it makes it feel less special. And I think the solution to this is having like Classic. If you have this, up to 300-hour road to 60, you can play World of Warcraft and have like 200 hours of experience and never hit 60 and be like, that's like one of my favorite games ever. I had like a crazy good experience with it. And the existence of this mythical end game that people are doing, even if you never access it, it still imbues your experience with specialness. I played World of Warcraft for endless numbers of hours. I never have done a raid once in my entire fucking life. And it is one of my favorite games of all time. Yeah. I've done countless 5-man dungeons. I've never done a raid.
Me too.
But the
Never.
existence of raids, it enhanced both of our experiences. And I was talking to a friend of mine about Vanilla WoW, and he was telling me about a part of the map that is has like lore implications, but you might not realize what it is unless you understand what it is. And he was telling me he came across this. It's not telegraphed. It's just like sitting in the plague lands. It's like Uther's tomb or whatever. And I had no idea what the significance of it was. And he was like, I understood the lore. I came across it, and I was like, holy fuck, this thing is just like out here. And there's no like quest, there's nothing, it's just a building. And he had this like amazing experience that's like a narrative that stuck with him, this sort of like environmental storytelling moment. I never had that experience, but here's the thing is him having that experience, it tells me that I'm in a world where these types of experiences are possible. And so the direct personal experience of those types of things is not a prerequisite for them enhancing the world. I think that just those being possible for some people, even if you miss them, just knowing that they exist is enough. And so the dichotomy I think that needs to exist is there needs to be this rarefied special thing, but it doesn't need to be accessible for everyone. I think having special stuff that only some people will get to experience, only the hardcore will get to experience, is not gatekeeping. It is recognizing that there is a spectrum of relationships that people have to games. And some people will be fucking hardcore, and you should not like level the playing field. The goal of a game world is not total parity and equity. The goal of a game world is to have like a spectrum of types of experiences you can have, and to not sort of like impoverish one to make the other more or less special.
I wonder if that is also where some of these specifically extraction shooters run into tension with their player bases, where they spend so much time in those worlds, but they're not really part of that world. They're just tourists for 20 minutes, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And they're thriving, or they're craving this connection with Tau Ceti, or with Speranza, or with fucking Twisted Towers, or whatever. I'm trying to think of a Fortnite. Tomato Town. But they can't, because that's not the game they're playing. They're not playing a game where they hang out there. They're playing a game where they jump in and they jump out.
That's a really good point, because I do feel like, even though I have enjoyed BRs before, they're like, it doesn't feel like like PUBG doesn't feel like I'm going into a world. It feels like I'm going into like being dropped into Epcot and fist fighting people there.
But I still feel like I crave that connection. We're dropping in Pachinki. You know what I mean? Like,
oh man, Pachinki is my city.
I want to have that relationship with that world, but the game, by its genre and everything, you kind of can't, unless you start making it a fucking crafting game, in between rounds. I don't know.
Yeah. Going back to Ironforge, I won't go on and on about WoW anymore, but going into Ironforge and Classic the other day was like seeing it in the distance and walking up the hill to it and walking in and the fucking dwarf music hits. I was like, it was just as special as it was, 20-some years ago, 22 years ago almost. And I think that says something. And it felt special because it was like, I had built up to it. I died a bunch of fucking times being a solo rogue out in the world. And then someone was like, hey, can you take this letter to Ironforge for me? And then like, it's not even like special. The guy's just like, don't bother me with this fucking letter. Like, give me the fucking letter. Get out of here. And I was like, I'm just like a piece of shit on the bottom of someone's shoe being dragged through this amazing place. And I think that the more we try to make everyone feel special, it's not just narrative. It's not just the narrative tells you you're the hero. It's also the way that the world relates to you, the amount of gear that is bestowed upon you, the way people talk to you and treat you, and not just NPCs, but the way the game designer treats you. If the game designer is like, oh yeah, no, you'll be at endgame soon, don't worry about it. You got like a fucking marketing job, 50 hours a week, don't worry about it. You'll be endgame by next week. It's like, I don't think that should be the case. And I think it makes it feel less special for everyone.
Yeah. Good chats, guys. A lot of weirdly interweaving conversations about game design and whatnot between a lot of these games we talked about today. I am very excited, though, to hear. I don't know if this is going to be able to connect in with any of those conversations we've had, but this does feel like a sort of a bullseye direct hit on the current epoch of Frank Howley's interests. Screamer, available on Steam, is a anime racing game. So please, Frank, tell us about Screamer. Have you been enjoying it? And when I first saw a trailer for this game, considering that like you are clearly like a big otaku and somebody who is currently working on a video for Noclip 2 about your recent love of Japanese arcade racing games, this one just came out at the fucking perfect time last Thursday. What's it like? Screamer. It's got anime in it.
Yeah, so this is an Italian developed game. Even when I reached out for a code, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm also working on a game or a video about racing games. I'd love to try it, yada yada. And they were immediately like, here you go. Oh my god. So I'm playing it on PS5. I think it's multi-platform. This is a game I want to put more time into because there's so many mechanics. I mean this in the best way possible. This feels like a racing game from like the PS2 360 era, very much like Burnout Takedown. It's got boost. It's got like you can KO ram vehicles out of the way. There's a tournament mode that's like an overarching story mode that feels like Tekken in the sense of every character speaks their own language. So I think there's like Dutch, Italian, French, English, Japanese. Like, so it's like, I'm just skipping the cutscenes. I just want to race stuff, but it's a dense, like visual novel of everyone competing for this. It's like a death race thing. There's $100 million prize or whatever. But,
and the cutscenes are like straight up. They look like, TV quality anime.
So there's like visual novel, like character box, and it's all voice acted. And then there's like actual flashy anime cutscenes. So like there's a like the asking price is it's $60 on Steam, and maybe it's 70 on PlayStation. So it's an actual like, you know, AA, AAA price game. But the most important part is the racing is really, really cool. So I've mostly been playing like sim games like Forza, Gran Turismo. This feels a lot more like, I would compare it to like Ridge Racer 6, like the Xbox 360 Ridge Racer that had a literal boost button. It's very arcadey in a great way. The one like criticism so far is the tournament mode has a very extended tutorial because there's so many mechanics. First, it wants you to learn the driving, and the driving in this is nuts because you're steering with the left thumbstick, but to drift, you're flicking the right stick left to swing your back wheels or right. So it's so crazy. But like once you get the handle of it, it's like, okay, that's great. The next thing, even though I'm playing on automatic, in order to boost your shift meter, you have to click shift up, and then that fills your boost. So once you kind of shift up enough times, you have your boost meter. And then you can boost, and then there's a timing window on how you can get a perfect boost. It's like a little triangle, almost like a rhythm game.
It's kind of like active reload. It looks like in Gears of War. Yeah,
it's exactly like that. So it's like the whole time you're playing it, there's online, I'm sure, but the AI opponents are also using boosts. You'll be doing really great, and all of a sudden you'll hear the fucking boost, and someone will come up, and so like. I've shifted the difficulty down just to kind of get through the story mode, unlock stuff, and it's challenging. It's legitimately challenging. And again, I'm so used to playing Forza and Gran Turismo, where if you lose, you get credits. You go to the tuning shop, you buy a better engine. But so I always will cheese my way. This is like, no, you have to do it. And doing the story mode's interesting because sometimes it'll be very specific objectives. And I feel like I'm finally, after I want to say 30 to 40 races, missions. I'm on chapter 2, and now they're like, all right, now you can do takedowns. All right, now you have a shield to counter takedowns. And I've gone off and done the arcade mode, which is here's everything up top, and different characters have different abilities. So it's almost like a hero race. It's crazy, but and that's why I want to keep playing this and diving in. But yeah, and then the aesthetic of it. Almost honestly, kind of like Borderlands. It has that faux cell shaded look, but very, very bright. The race cars are very bright. The desert is very almost like Mad Max, dismal, but again, hyper contrast. The cities are very Cyberpunk or Akira. If you get first place, you'll literally do the Akira slide when you cross the finish line. So
I saw it in a trailer, and I also saw a corgi that looked conspicuously like Ein. Yeah.
So everything it's hitting is this is really good. But yeah, I want to give it space to learn the mechanics, and there's a lot of achievements to do. But yeah, it's pretty cool, and I
might get this. I think the thing that's making me that's making me the most interested is the mechanics of driving. It feels like sort of a plate spinning, pat your head, rub your belly. So what I like about playing sim games is that you're fighting the car. You're not really fighting the other drivers. You know what I mean? Arcade games, it's all about the other drivers, which is why there's rubber banding and all this sort of stuff. Whereas in our sim games, it's that. This feels like it's sort of a cool little middle, like an arcadey type of version of that, where you're trying to get the timing right on this upshift and trying to use a boost at the right time and trying to the drifting with the right stick sounds very cool.
It's nuts. And it took me a while, but honestly, playing today right before the podcast, I was finally able to do turns and curves without hitting the wall. And it's not that there's not that much a penalty if you hit the wall. You almost like a gutter and a bolt. It kind of lets you all right, you take a huge speed penalty, and usually cars will overturn you. But it's pretty cool, and you don't have damage meter. I've been playing rally sports games now, and your car will take damage over time. If you hit the wall, you just get bumped down. You don't have a damage meter, but again, an enemy car can KO you. Early on this tournament mode, that doesn't happen, but now again, I'm finally getting deeper into it where there's combat involved, and and even unlocking the takedown again, it's not as free or chaotic as Burnout. In order to earn your I think it's called a strike, you have to again, the race starts and your abilities are locked for the first, I don't know if it's 30 seconds. So it kind of gives everyone an even start to kind of get out of the opening. And then once, I don't know when again, it feels very Mad Max, Death Wish, Grindhouse. It's cool. It's hitting, it's positive. It's nailing it. Then once it unlocks, then it's everyone is shifting up, filling up their boost meter. Once you do a boost, then doing a boost unlocks you essentially ammunition to KO people. So I've done things where I'll boost, I'll come up on someone and then do do the KO thing. And then there's also like an overdrive mode where I think it's what's the equivalent of like in Mario Kart where you get the like bullet bill that just pushes you forward. So there's like, or like the star in Mario Kart where all of a sudden you can just tap people and explode, but I don't know how you unlock that every time. And I was, again, thinking of this compared to Mario Kart where it's like, this is better than Mario Kart. I like Mario Kart. It's fun with friends, but single player, it's such bullshit because like, it's just too many items. Yeah. Here, it's like, okay, anytime you're like disrupted, it's like, oh, that was my fault. I either slammed into the wall or I didn't parry or shield enough time. So it's like, I haven't been like frustrated for the wrong reasons. If I get stuck at a tournament mission, it's like, okay, I just got to keep learning this route. And then when you finally hit it, it's like, oh my gosh. And I think like, it's cool. Like it has like letter rankings when you complete missions based on your lap times and stuff like that. So yeah, I've been playing so many different racing games, and this is so crazy. This came out as like, oh, this is a throwback like PS2 arcadey thing, and like, yeah, it's yeah.
To make the somewhat obvious comparison to anyone who played this era of racing games, the anime level or the city levels remind me of Grid, and the outdoor levels where you're doing all the drifting remind me of Split Second, like which are like the last two, like I feel like new IPs in racing games that tried mechanically something different. Grid was like a sort of a was it Grid? It was called Grid.
Was it Blur? Is that what you're thinking of?
Sorry,
okay.
Blur.
You said Grid,
Blur,
and I was like,
yeah.
Autosport? Okay.
Apologies. Yeah. Thank you. Good catch. Blur, which was sort of like Mario Kart for, post grads or whatever.
Mario Kart for guys who watched Need for Speed, or not Need for Speed. Sorry, Fast and Furious. Need for Speed came later.
Older people, you know.
Yeah.
And then Split Second, which was obviously like sort of Burnout in a way for bombasty kind of stuff. So yeah, this looks cool. Screamer. I hear what you're saying about the price tag though. It seems, especially in the land of Noclip too, where we're used to mind bending classic games you pick up for $7.58. It seems like $60 is quite
I will wait for this to go on sale. I do want to play it. I have a lot of friends who love playing racing games, but $80 Canadian for a racing game. I'm no disrespect. It sounds like it's great. That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money with these gas prices.
Get more expensive.
Right?
Driving in real life costs $80 Canadian now too.
Can't get it. These fucking copies of Screamer just fucking filling up the Strait of Hormuz. How are we supposed to fucking?
I like how you say it. The Strait of Hormuz.
Hormuz.
It's like it's made out of chocolate. Yum.
Delicious. It's gonna be made of fucking oil in the next fucking. If any more of these Kuwaiti and Saudi tankers keep getting fucking hit, Bahrainians. Yeah, cool. Screamer looks rad. Yeah, come to the Noclip podcast for your updates on the Middle Eastern conflict. Frank, pick another game out of these. Biohazard, Requiem, I'm interested in. Yume, Penguin, what the fuck? What is this?
Okay, so no one else in the world is ever going to talk about this game. It's never been. There is a fans translation that was released in like 1999 or 2000. So every time I go to Japan, I spend a lot of my time in retro game shops because they're all just like museums. All the box art is there of these incredible games that have never been translated, I've never heard about, never seen. And I come back with a giant list of games, and I'm like, I'm going to emulate this, play this. I played this game. I beat it entirely in 47 minutes. It's one of the funniest games I have ever played. I've never heard anyone talk about it. I don't know if anyone ever will, but maybe if one person goes out and plays this, oh my God, I'll be so happy. So it's called Yume Penguin Monogatari, Story of the Dream Penguin. It's a Famicom game. Nintendo, released by Konami in 1991. The premise of this game, it's a platformer in which you play a fat penguin. Your girlfriend calls you on the phone that says, hey, you've gotten too fat. I don't like you anymore. I'm going out with this other penguin now. And it's a penguin with a top hat and sunglasses. He steals your girlfriend. And the girl's like, well, if you can get to the end of this level, call me and maybe I'll change my mind. So you start as a fat penguin, and the game at the bottom.
I wonder if this was made by a man.
No,
it sounds like the ultimate fear of every man.
Oh my God,
every
one of the
teenage
items,
boy. Like,
how do I convince her to be gone?
Take me back. I'll just fucking do better.
So in lieu of a health a bar, you have like a fat meter. It's like again, this was translated, but I'm sure it's equal in Japanese. It's like chunky, like norm thin, and then skinny, and like that affects your combat abilities. So when you're fat, you're like a sumo. You're very slow, but if you can like waddle and instant KO people, but you're slow, and the game is like you have like 2 minutes to get to the end and call your girlfriend. So you don't want to be fat. And this game completely inverts like everything about platformers. Because usually in platformers, if you take damage or like Final Fight, oh, there's like a turkey leg on the ground, or oh, here's a pie. Let me eat that. The game is filled with like food pickups, but if you pick that up, you get, and enemies will throw food at you. So if you pick up the items, you get fatter. The only good, again, this is so crazy, especially in Japan, it's very anti-drug. The only thing that you're supposed to get are diet pills. So you kill enemies, they drop diet pills.
God.
And the more diet pills you
Picking up the Ozempic.
you lose weight, and then your abilities get better. And then it becomes almost like the equivalent of like Mario getting like the cape. Where like if you're fit, you can like you can like shoot enemies across the screen. You can like jump so high, so it's like it becomes insane that you can almost like break the gate if you maintain it. But the whole time I was playing, it's like, oh, there's like fruit in the trees. Let me get it. Why am I dying? And like it was so weird to just kind of realize like, oh, this is
Wait,
an
if you
inversion.
eat fruit, it still hurts you? Like,
Yeah, and the only thing
when
that's
you want to
good,
encourage people to eat fruit?
That's empty calories.
it's
Just
yeah,
diet
right?
pills.
Oh, and like if you fall in the water, it's like 10,000 calorie water, so you gain all your weight back.
Oh my God.
You're swimming around in high energy
This is
fucking
amazing.
drink.
And so yeah,
God.
so it's like very standard platformer. And again, like I feel like maybe it's a kids game or something. It's easy. And
I hope not.
Christ, I hope it's
It's a really good lesson for children.
I'm always worried with like old school Nintendo games because it's like it's hard. They're hard and impossible. I was able to beat this without like save states. Like it's very friendly. But like yeah, there's always a boss fight. But if you beat the boss fight and still fat, your girlfriend's like, not good enough. You're still fat. Game over. So like you have to.
Oh
so
my
like I would beat a
God.
boss and I'd be fat. And then I'd have to restart. And so like there's like so you can beat the entire game, kill the final boss, and if you're still fat, she rejects you. So like yeah, I just wanted to take a moment and say like, yeah, Yume Penguin Monogatari. I've never heard anyone talk about it. It's hilarious. Like again, if we keep doing a series of like Japanese Let's Plays on Patreon or whatever, I would love to I would love to show this game off at some point. It is so funny. Yume Penguin Monogatari, genuinely one of the funniest premises game I've ever heard of. And yeah, again, that's also just the gem of like different conversation, but like in lieu of like physical game stores disappearing, like that's what's so rad about Japan is like I'll go into Mondarok or Super Potato or any store, book off and just like look at the shelves, and like I always take pictures and B-roll of it, but it's just like, what is this game? What is this game? What is this game? And I write it all down on my phone and then come home and just down all this. So yeah, Yume Penguin Monogatari by Konami. Now if I see it on my next trip, if I just want to buy this because it's such an insane game. Never been like ported, no virtual console. Some random person translated it like in 1999.
I was wondering why I was seeing all these English language versions on YouTube. Yeah. Oh my God.
So it's, yeah, very cute and funny.
What a bizarre. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. What an absolutely shameful piece of art. Oh my
Just
God.
watching gameplay now and like a little text that says shape up falls onto your character. And you're like, yeah, good.
One of the levels is a
normal,
cake.
thin dream penguin.
It's funny too because Kirby is like all food themed and he eats stuff, but it's good when this is like the inverse Kirby, where it's like, what if you felt bad about going to, Cake World?
Oh yeah, there's levels that are literally on top of it. I think that's level 2 is you're fighting your way up a cake. Like
I'm looking at that one right now.
If Kirby ate this penguin, would he he takes on the sort of traits of this? Would he take on this penguin's shame?
Would it take on the penguin's eating disorder? Yeah, that would probably
I
be.
feel like this penguin needs to like meet a new girl in his life. It's really sad that he's
a very
like
toxic relationship.
The only person for me is someone who left me for a thinner guy with sunglasses, and now I have to get fit.
Hey, at least she's being honest. She's speaking her truth. She's an asshole, but
penguin's
she's
made
not
for
being
life.
duplicitous.
He doesn't have a choice.
Guy's got a pretty sick top hat. You know what I mean?
It is a cool hat.
Maybe that's the vibe. It's more about the peacocking. You know what I mean?
Wait, at the end of the cake level, there's like a little conversation with the boss, and it says, "Frosting Man, now you'll have to face me." You have to face Frosting Man. I'll make you creamy and smooth, just like me.
Oh wow! This is the cream corn bit from Nirvana, the band, the show, happening all over again. Oh, wonderful! Thank you, Yume Penguin Monogatari. And what's that translate to? Dream something?
Story of the Dream Penguin.
The Dream Penguin being your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's her story, really. About gaslighting her boyfriend into
losing weight.
Losing weight. Yeah. Everyone wins.
Listen, she's just trying to get him healthy in the most toxic way possible.
In the most, yeah. Exactly, yeah. I love you, Chubby. My dad used to call me Chubbles.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
it was a term of endearment.
No.
I told that to my daughter and she fucking burst out laughing for like a minute.
Yeah, I bet.
I mean, it is funny.
Because we were going through nicknames, and I was like, nicknames for her, and then I was like, what were my nicknames? It was like,
Yeah, my dad used to call me
Dan
ugly
Chap.
bitch.
My dad called me Tan Chap, and then he called me Chubbles sometimes. Chubbles. I was a fat kid. I'm still a fat kid. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care about my fucking... I got rid of those penguins years ago, man. I got myself a nice little penguin now. Tell you that much. Oh, man. Good stuff. Thanks, Frank. Final thoughts on Requiem. What did you make of it?
Yeah, without any spoilers. I really loved it. So like the gameplay hook of this one is like you're playing as two characters and it goes back and forth. Grace is like by the default setting, first person, that is the more like high tension survival horror, much like Resident Evil 7. And then the Leon sections is like
Roundhouse kicks, baby.
I would almost even compare it to like Resident Evil 6 if they got it right. It is so over the top, but in like the best way. It is like I think like the reason I enjoyed the Leon stuff is you're suppressed so much when you're playing as Grace.
Yeah.
Ammo scarce is hard. It's so scary. Like, there's only like one part that was like tedious. And then when you're Leon, it's like, oh my God. And like, oh, it's such a delight. Like, yeah, it's like not a surprise. It's Resident Evil. Capcom's been killing it. So I loved it. Tons of Easter eggs, and they basically reference every Resident Evil. I don't think there's any direct reference to Resident Evil 6, but every other game is completely like reference, and just the whole time it's like, oh, this is awesome, awesome, awesome. They have announced they will do like story DLC additionally, but
cool.
Yeah, it was. And my final playtime was like 11 hours, but I want to do New Game Plus, and it was awesome.
Are you playing on a PS5 Pro?
Yeah, just PS5 default. Yeah.
Default, okay, because the PSSR 2 stuff came out last month, which was
Pisser.
You're right, it is Pisser,
The Pisser.
2.0. Hit you in the face.
They updated my pisser.
Yep. Mark Cerny's here to piss all over your PlayStation. Open your mouth for the Cerny. He's on Digital Foundry, pissing on Resident Evil New Faces. Conflating two stories here. Yeah, so they added this. I guess it's their PSSR stuff, so it's the similar type of resolution upscaling stuff we're seeing with machine learning, I guess. But apparently, if you have a PS5 Pro and you're playing that game runs a lot better. This is not to be confused with the DLSS 5. I was about to call it DSLR. Yes, thank you. DLSS.
They're putting cameras in the game. Finally.
They put mirrorless cameras in the game.
Right? Yeah. Is there a certain point in your life where you have reached sort of like acronym and italicism, like over
saturation?
Yeah. Like I can't take any more. Like, sorry, that's
too many letters.
I got run for pisser, and that's it.
That's why I don't go on TikTok. Is like I've like capped off. Like I'm good with like what I have. I don't need to like keep up with stuff. I'm like, all right, I'm happy with it.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think that's becoming old, right? That's it. With like, you know what? I like my political position right now. I'm gonna hold on to this for the next 40 years, and hopefully I'll be on the right side of history. Pisser 2.0. If you want to check it out, if you got a PS5 Pro, and if you don't have a PS5 Pro, fucking buy one today before the price goes up.
It's gonna be
and then the global
$1,000.
economy tanks. Yeah.
Oh God!
If you're in the market for one, buy it now or forever hold your peace.
I love that the consoles are appreciating goods that you can keep in your home now. You got to register them on your taxes for capital gains at this point.
Exactly.
Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. If you have a Steam Deck, man, you might as well own Gabe's boat. It's just like, you know, absolutely. Just you're gonna be paying fucking capital gains on that. My lord. Good stuff. All right, that was a bunch of great games. When are we doing the email episode?
You said you wanted to do it today. We don't have to.
We're gonna do it today. We're gonna record today. When's it going? When's it going up though? When's it going up?
I mean, it would have been the Patreon episode for this month. So today,
yeah, let's do it today. We'll take a little break and we'll do it today.
Sure.
Perfect. We're gonna have an email episode up for everyone on the Noclip Patreon. So go check that out. Noclip Patreon, Noclip 2 Patreon, Noclip Patreon,
Noclip Patreon, Noclip 1.
Noclip Patreon, Noclip 1, Noclip 1. I should know that.
Yeah.
It's been a busy week.
Sorry.
So yeah, go check that out. Otherwise, there's a bunch of cool videos on our various channels. By the time you watch this, the final episode of our Computer Worlds series will be up, all about Ultimate Drummer, which is just a fucking great piece of weirdness. I'm really into that game. Jesse's loading video as well. If you missed that already, the big preview on The Legend of California is also on Noclip 2. The Disco Elysium series is done and dusted. Episode 6 is up. It went up about an hour and a half ago. Massive thanks to everyone for helping on that one. Jeremy obviously led the edit on that bad boy. Frank Howley captured a bunch of gameplay. And I was happy to get it out the door, get the whole thing done and dusted. It took like 4 months to finish those episodes for a variety of environmental reasons, I would say, more than anything else. Thanksgivings and holidays and all these other bits and bobs. Lots of other work that we were doing in the meantime. But yeah, happy to have those out for sure. And yeah, that's the story. That's it. I have no idea how people are reacting to it. I don't know if people are going to be pissed off that we didn't fucking do a 4-hour video about how everyone is angry at their old friend, but you know, that's sort of the point of this. Perhaps the point of the video is to not conflate interpersonal office bullshit with what's the word? I shouldn't say supposed. I'm trying to cover my arse legally here.
Alleged
IP theft. Yes, I think the more we spend talking about fucking who doesn't like who for what reason, the less, the more it takes the attention away from the actual problem, which is alleged IP theft. So yeah.
Patreon bonus video though, where all those people fist fight each other on camera.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
For control, and the winner gets the control of the intellectual property
of the IP. Who'd win? Argo would win. That's the problem.
He looks tough.
Argo looks like he kicked the fuck out. He looks like I don't know how tall he is, but he looks like he's stocky.
He looks like the kind of guy who's very sensitive, and then you piss him off, and he beats the fuck out of you.
And like you just can't put him down. Like he's just like
he's a wild animal. That guy.
He's just got that dog in him. Whereas like, yeah, I don't know who else.
He's got that hog in him.
Hey,
that warhog.
Bringing it back.
There you go. Love it. All right, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks everyone for listening to the podcast. We'll see you next week. Bye.